Hello pals, welcome to another tutorial. I am Tim Tokwe. In today's tutorial, we are going to be making this Queen Ann neckline and a bell sleeve. So I'm going to be taking you through the cutting and drafting part of this Queen Ann neckline as well as the bell sleeve. So if this is what you're interested in, you want to continue watching this video, click on the like button, subscribe to this channel and also turn on your notification, and let's get started. So we are going to start by the drafting of the front pattern first. So I came down from the start of this paper by half of an inch, and this line is going to be the starting line. So from this starting line, I'm going to be marking the bust point, which is 11 inches, the under bust measurement, which is 13.5, and as well as the half length, which is 16.5 inches. So now I'm going to be drawing a straight line across each of these points. So this is the bust point line, this is the under bust line, and this is the waist line, which is also the half length line. So now I'm going to label this as the shoulder line, the bust point line, the under bust, and the waist line. So the next thing is to come to this shoulder line and then mark 3.5 inches this way and come down by 3.5 inches as well. So if you are making for a smaller person, you can use 3 by 3. So now I'm going to get my curve and then connect it like this. After doing this, now I'm going to be getting my shoulder line. So divide the shoulder measurement into 2. So after dividing this, I got this and I mark it. And then on this point now, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. And then this 1 inch, I'm going to be connecting it to the neckline like this. So from this shoulder slope now, I'm going to be getting the armhole depth. So to get the armhole depth, you are going to divide your bust measurement by 6, and then you are going to add 1.5 inches to it. After dividing my bust measurement into 6, I got 7.5, and then I got 7 inches. Then I'm going to add 1.5 to that, so that's going to give me 8.5 inches. So my armhole depth is 8.5 inches, and I'm just going to mark that. Then I'm going to draw a straight line across this point, and this line is going to be serving as a chest line. So now I'm going to connect from this shoulder slope to meet this chest line, and this is the armhole depth. So the next thing I'm going to do is to locate the middle of this armhole depth. So to locate the middle, I'm just going to fold my tape into 2 like this. Then I'm going to mark the middle this way. Then at this middle point, I'm going to go in by half of an inch. Then on my chest line, I'm going to be dividing the bust measurement into 4, and I'm going to mark it this way. So now I'm going to get my curve and then connect this armhole like this. So I'm going to make sure that it's touching the shoulder, the half inch that I went in by, and also the bust measurements. I hope you get that. So now what we are going to do next is to place our darts. So we are going to be placing the darts on the bust point line. So we are going to be using the bust span measurement, that's the nipple to nipple measurement. So I'm going to divide the nipple to nipple measurement into 2. So the nipple to nipple measurement is 7.5 divided by 2. I have 3 3/4. So I'm going to mark that on the bust point line and also on the waistline. Then I'm going to connect this point together in a straight line like this. Now I'm going to be taking the dart at the under bust line. So at this part, I'm going to measure half inch this way, and on the other side, I'm going to be marking 1.5 inch. And I'm going to do the same thing on the waistline. So if you are making for a smaller person, instead of marking 1.5 inch on the other side, you can decide to measure 1.25 inch. I hope you get. After this, I'm going to be connecting from the under bust to meet the bust point. But I'm not going to connect it directly to the bust point. I'm going to come down by 3/4 of an inch. You can choose to come down by 1 inch, but I'm coming down by 3/4 of an inch. I'm just going to place my curve this way and connect from the under bust to meet the point. And on the second side also, I'm going to do the same. After this, you are going to be coming to your shoulder line, and then you are going to be locating the middle of the shoulder line. So to locate the middle, just fold your tape into 2 like this and then mark the middle. Then from this middle now, you are going to be connecting to the bust point like this. So this is going to help you to be able to take your dart at the upper part. So now the next thing you want to do now is to determine how low your neckline is going to be. So remember that this is a Queen Ann neckline, so we are not going to be using this neckline. So we are going to determine how low we want the neckline to be. So what I usually do is I usually measure this on my clients. I usually measure how low my clients want the neckline to be, or how much, where it's going to be starting from, depending on how much cleavage she is willing to show. So while I measure this on my clients, I have 6 inches. So in case you did not measure this on your clients, so you can try to, you are going to go up from the chest line by 3 inches. So that's if you don't want any cleavage to show, if you want it covered up. But if you want some cleavage to show, then you can go up by 2 inches or 1.5, depending on how much cleavage you want to show. So but for me, I'm going to be using 6 inches because my client does not want her cleavage showing. Do you understand? So now on this dart line, now I'm going to be taking 1/2 inch on both sides to take the upper dart. So I'm going to use my curve now and connect from this side to the bust point, and from the other side also to the bust point. What we are going to do after this is to mark our V curve at the center. So I'm going to bring my curve now, and I'm going to be placing it like this. Just watch how I'm going to place it. So I'm going to place it like this. So what I'm going to do is to measure how deep I want it to be. So I'm going to be measuring 1.5 inches. So is this 1.5 inches that will determine how deep my curve is going to be. So if you want just to show some cleavage, you can decide to measure 2 inches. So but I'm just going to be using 1.5. So from this point, I'm just going to connect it to the 1.5 like this, and then I'm going to be curving it. So just watch what I'm doing. So I'm curving it from the dart line to this point, just like this. So the next thing you want to do now is to come to this shoulder line, and we are going to be connecting from the shoulder line to the dart line here. So see the way I connect the curve. So just from the shoulder line, just place your curve like this, and then connect it from the start of your V curve like this. So this is what is going to be giving you your Queen Ann neckline. I hope you get. So now that we already have this part is just going to be straight because we are going to be cutting this shoulder part off, and we are going to be joining it later by the time we are joining the fabric together. So now we are going to be taking the side measurements. We already took the bust measurements, right? So now we are going to go to the under bust. So the under bust, you are going to divide your under bust measurements into 4. Mark what it gives you. Now you are going to be measuring this dart allowance there, and you are going to be placing it back. Then on the waistline as well, you are going to divide your waist measurement into 4, and you are going to mark it. Then the allowance, the dart allowance that you have there, you are going to be placing it back, which is 2 inches. So just place it back. Now I'm going to be connecting these 3 points together like this. So now we can go ahead to cut, but before we cut, we are going to be taking our side dart. Remember that I said the dart for the we are going to be using a side dart. So the dart for the half length for the front part is different from that of the back. So you have to take the measurement separately, just like I'm showing on the screen here. So you tie a rope around your waistline, and then you measure the front part separately and the back part separately. So now you are going to make a simple calculation. So the half length for the front, you are going to subtract it from that of the back. So the half length for the front is 16.5, and then the half length for the back is 15 inches. So now I'm going to say 16.5 minus 15 inches. So that's going to give me 1.5. So it is 1.5 now that I'm going to be using for my side darts. So now from this bust point line, I'm going to be marking 1.5 downward. Just watch what I'm doing like this. Okay, so now I'm going to connect it to meet the bust point at the dart line like this. Just watch what I'm doing here. So now I'm going to, this is going to be our side, our dart line, our side dart, and so we are going to be closing up this side dart. After taking it, we are still going to close it up. So to close it up now, we are going to slash it at this lower part like this. Just watch closely what I'm doing. Then we are going to be closing it up. But for me to be able to close it up very well, I have to slash open the darts at this lower part, so that it's going to be easier for me to close that one. So I'm just going to stop at the bust point, and then you can see that it's easier for me to close up now. So now I'm going to be using a tape to hold it together. Now you can notice that there is a shift at the bust to under bust. The line is no longer straight. So now I'm going to take the ruler now and connect this line so that it can be straight. So I'm going to connect from the bust to the under bust like this. So this is going to be the new side line. I hope you get that. So now we can go ahead and cut this out. So just watch the parts that I am cutting. So we are going to remove the yoke completely and then just continue cutting it. So we're going to be cutting out the dart, as you can see here. Then for this upper part, we are just going to make use of this shoulder, and this is what our front part is going to be looking like. So we are going to be drafting the back part now. So for the back part, I came down by half of an inch from the start of the pattern paper as well to get my starting line. So this line will be the starting line also. So what I'm going to do for the back part is, from this starting line, just go ahead and mark your half length straight, and don't forget that your half length for the back is different from that of the front. So my half length for front is 16 and a half, and that of the back is 15. So measure it separately, just like I'm showing you on the screen. So I'm going to be measuring that of the back, which is 15 inches, and that is what I'm marking here. I'm not using the half length for the front. I'm using the one I measure separately for the back. So I'm going to mark that now. Then after marking that, I'm going to be marking 1 inch all the way down for the zipper allowance. So I'm going to connect this together like this to form a straight line, and this is going to be the zipper allowance. After this, I'm going to come to this starting line, and then I'm going to get the neck measurement. So we use 3.5 for the front part, so we are using that for the back as well. Then I'm going to come down by 1 inch for the back. Now I'm going to place my curve like this and connect it into the zipper allowance. After this, I'm going to take the shoulder measurement. I'm going to divide the shoulder measurement into 2, just like I did to the front part, and then I'm going to be marking that out here. Then I'm going to go down by 1 inch, and then from this 1 inch, I'll connect it to meet the neckline. After this, I'm going to be using my shoulder, my armhole depth. So the same armhole depth I use for the front is what I'm going to be using for the back. So I'm going to connect a line across this point now, and this is going to be the chest line. So now connect from the shoulder slope to make this chest line, and this is my armhole depth. Now I'm going to look for the middle of this armhole. Just fold your tape into 2, just like I did here, or just like I'm doing here, and then you go in by half of an inch. Then on your chest line, divide your bust measurement into 4. Now connect the 3 points. That's your shoulder point, the half length, the half inches I went in by, and the bust measurement, just like I'm doing here. Just connect it together like this. Now we already take your bust measurements, right? So come to your waistline and take your waist measurement. But before then, you are going to be taking your dart. So now use half of your nipple to nipple measurement for your dart line. So now mark that there and mark it on your chest line. Then connect it together like this. So now on both sides, you are going to be taking half inch on both sides for the dart intake, for the dart itself. So now you are going to connect it towards the chest line like this. After this, now you are going to get your curve. So from this chest line, connect to the middle of your armhole like this. So that's going to give you like a princess dart. So that's what the dart you're going to be having for the back. Now we're ready to decide measurements for the bust. So we'll go to the waistline now, and we'll divide the waist measurement into 4. We'll mark what that is. Now we are going to measure the dart here, which is 1 inch, and you are going to be placing it back. So now you are going to connect from your bust measurements to your waistline, and that is just it for the back. But then we are going to be taking out our zipper budge. So at this zipper allowance on the waistline, mark out half inch, then connect it upward like this in a triangle. You can see the way I connect it. So that way we know that will not make your zip to budge. And then just go ahead and cut it out. And that is all for the back. So the next thing we are going to be cutting out is the sleeve. So for the sleeve, I also came down by half of an inch from the start of this pattern paper to mark out my starting line. And now from this starting line, what we are going to be doing next is to determine how wide our cap is going to be. So the width of our cap. So what I usually do is I divide the round sleeve, the upper arm sleeve, that's the upper arm round sleeve. I divide it into two and I add 2 inches to it. So the round sleeve is 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. Then plus 2 inches, that's going to be giving me 9.5. So it's this 9.5 that I'm going to mark all the way down. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to mark out my curve. So I usually use my free hand for this. You can use your free hand. So this 9.5 inches that we mark is going to determine where our cap curve is going to stop. So you can see that I stop at that 9.5 inches where the line starts from. That is where I stop. So that's the essence of marking that 9.5 inches. So now from the starting line, I want to measure your upper arm. I'm going to be measuring 8 inches. That's like the length, your upper arm length, you get. So now I'm going to draw a straight line across it. Now I'm going to be measuring round my upper arm. I'm going to be using my upper round sleeve measurement for the upper arm. So it's 7.5. Then I'll divide it by 2, right? And that is 7.5. So now I'm going to be adding allowance to it. So you can try to add 1 inch or 2 inches. But because I'm not going to be using lining on the sleeve, I'm using 1 inch allowance. The next thing now is from the starting line again, you are going to measure your elbow length. So we are going to, for this client, the elbow length is 13 inches. And that is what I am marking here. And now I'm going to draw a straight line across this elbow line as well. And then I'm going to be measuring the round sleeve for the elbow. So my round sleeve for the elbow part, I'm going to divide it into 2. So for this client, it is also 13 inches. And I'm going to divide that into 2. That's 6.5. And then I'm going to add 1 inch allowance. I'm adding 1 inch allowance because I'm not adding lining to this sleeve. So that 1 inch is okay for me. So after this one, I'm going to be measuring the sleeve length. So that's from the shoulder to the wrist. So for this length, it is 23.5. But I'm going to be adding half inch for the stitching allowance, or to where I'm going to be stitching to the shoulder part. I'm only adding half inch for the sleeve for the allowance because I'm not going to be folding the tip of the sleeve because it's a lace. So I'm going to be using that part of lace that they call it TRJ. So I'm not going to be folding the tip. So it's just the upper part that I'm going to join. So the next thing we are going to do is this sleeve length. Now we are going to extend this one into the allowance. You can see that I'm extending it into the allowance. So now I want to determine how wide it's going to be at the lower part. So I'm going to be marking out 1 inches. I'm going to come out by 1 inch. But I advise that you come out by 2 inches because I ended up adding 1 more inch to it. So I'm going to be showing you that where on my sleeve, on my actual fabric. So from this elbow line now, just connect to that 2 inches that you came out by. Remember that I used 1 inch here, but please use 2 inches so that your bell sleeve can be very visible. So I'm going to connect it like this, and this is just all for the sleeve. So I'm going to be showing you how I cut it on the main fabric. So this is the main fabric. You can see that this part is coming out small. So I used 2 inches. I didn't use what I have exactly on the pattern. So when you're using yours, please use 2 inches so that the bell sleeve can be more pronounced. So what I did is after marking 1 inch extra there, I just connect from the elbow line to meet that 2 inches, you get. So that is why it's giving me this triangle shape. So that is just it. So now I'm going to be cutting out my patterns on my fabric. So I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm going to be uploading the sewing tutorial in a separate video. So if you like to see this sewing tutorial, you should remember to turn on your notification bell so that you get notified when I upload this video. Thank you.